Mobile games have become one of the most popular type of mobile applications, or apps for short. In Apple's App Store, games frequent the top revenue producing charts, and the games category has the most apps to offer. The market for mobile game entertainment is significant. According to EDAR, in North America alone it amounted to $5.4 billion in 2015 and is estimated to grow to $7.2 billion by the year 2018. Today, mobile game companies employ a range of revenue models. In the traditional premium revenue model, gamers purchase a copy of a game for a fixed price, ranging usually between $1 and $20 in mobile games. One of the most known examples of a premium game is Angry Birds, which is one of the most downloaded mobile games in the App Store. This original Angry Birds game was published in 2009. By 2014, it had been downloaded over 2.5 billion times. However successful premium games may have been, Apple's introduction of in-app purchases in 2009 dramatically changed how games are monetized. This has led into the decline of premium mobile games. Even influential game companies behind successful premium games, such as Rovio and Electronic Arts, have adopted free-to-play revenue models as their default for new games. Free-to-play refers to a range of revenue models, mainly including sales of virtual goods and sometimes advertising. Free-to-play games are free to download and play, while players may buy additional, optional in-game benefits. Most players do not pay for their gaming experience, but some do, and these players can choose how much they want to spend, based on their preferences, commitment, and ability to pay. This allows free-to-play games to have vastly more players and customers. Free-to-play revenue models have become the prevalent and most monetarily successful way to monetize mobile games, and free-to-play seems to have become the default approach on the mobile game market, with few games as exceptions. The aim of this study is to find and analyze distinct methods, game mechanics, and strategies that game developers utilize when monetizing their games, both in premium and free-to-play games. We investigate how mobile game companies influence gamer purchase behavior. The goal is to understand how much thought and effort game developers put into selecting and employing different monetization approaches. We categorize and present these methods in three parts of this videography: game design as marketing, community management and social game mechanics, and lastly, promotion and pricing strategies. In this videography, we interview three mobile game professionals from two companies.
I'm Teemu Haila.
My name is Gabriele.
I'm Juha Ylimäki.
And use gameplay footage from iOS-based mobile games to illustrate the methods and phenomena discussed with the interviewees. These shown games include games from the interviewed companies, from PlayRaven, Spymaster, Robicide, and Winter State, and from Muro Studios, Shadowbug, Shadowbug Rush, and Brofist Simulator. In this part, we discuss how game design has become a substantial part of the marketing that mobile game companies conduct. Hamari and others observe a change in the design philosophy of games, rising from free-to-play revenue models and especially sales of in-game content. Game developers increasingly create games that are not only enjoyable, but which are optimized for selling virtual goods. This optimization includes implementing game mechanics that create demand for in-game content and encourage repeat purchases.
In many of the games that we do, again, let's take the new Spymaster example. You can spend a lot of time to upgrade all of your guys, spend a lot of time in the game, play it really well, upgrade your guys, and you're able to participate in the highest tier of gameplay. Or you could play a little bit less and pay a little bit more, but the end result is the same. And we don't really expose who did what. What's important is that you're on the same level and you're able to play against each other. So what we literally see is that some people simply have more time than money, or more money than time, and we can equalize that through in-app purchases. So this is a more like an overarching way of, that's a psychological hook of why people pay. That I choose to go to work, and then in the evening I'll buy a couple of packs to get into the game a little bit faster and be able to play with you. So we're able to kind of share that same experience. In the original games, we had different types of progression. For example, Robocide had levels. So in a level-based game, you fundamentally end up selling slightly different things are relevant to you as a player than in, for example, the first Spy Master, which was about your spies themselves. We always want to try a couple of new things in those. So to go into concrete examples, in the very first Spy Master, the spies were kind of drawn from a deck. So of course we would sell you a kind of variety. For example, we had people who spent real-world money just to have an all-female team, like the Charlie's Angels. It's not mandatory, you don't need it to beat the game, it's just fun and it's self-expression. So we allowed you to spend money to kind of go through different spies and get the ones you really want, and to be able to spec them just the way you want. So shortcuts. In Robocide we experimented with group donations, so you could actually basically buy something very special only when you were already in a clan. So from the clan shop you could buy something for yourself that would help you pass levels in PvP and so on. You could get those with in-game currency, as in you play the game and you earn them over time. But if you spend real money to get those things, you at the same time donate them to your guildmates as well. So actually buying those things was an act of donating to others, which worked amazingly well. So we were looking at the analytics, and the moment we launched that thing, 75% of all real world money use immediately went into this half donation bits, because we made sure that others see that this player, for example Teemu, bought this thing and now it's helping you. It's a very powerful statement.
Free-to-play monetization is inherently connected with a game's design and mechanics. For example, virtual goods are in-game content that are sold to players to enhance their game experience. Virtual goods either increase the player's performance, helping them reach gameplay goals faster, or allow players to express themselves through aesthetic, rare, or customizable items.
In general, we've been kind of jokingly calling it pay not to lose. So that's a monetization point of something happened, you caused it, and now you can use real world money to kind of recover from that a little bit faster. Meaning your RPG character died because of your mistake, but you really like your Charlie's Angels, so maybe you can spend a little bit of money to revive your angel back instead of getting a newbie on your team and then it's a man, what's going on. So that seems to work quite well, people like it.
Shadow of a Crush, it's more like you can it has like unlimited level that never ends. You know, it generates it like automatically new pieces as you progress in the level, and you must die in the end in some way, but you just collect the in-game currency, and then you can unlock more different like type of levels, which are also like unlimited, and also then like new skins or characters for the game. So it gives you some goals to collect the in-game currency in the game.
In-game currency is used to buy virtual goods. Usually, mobile games employ a two-currency system, with a soft currency earned through gameplay and a hard currency that is scarcely rewarded except through paying real money. Though, this hard currency or other rewards may be gifted through watching advertisements.
Our advertisements are mostly what we call reward video ads, rewarded video, which means that you, as a player, you opt in to seeing an ad. Then we use a bunch of different ad partners to pull in videos from different networks, and it's kind of the problem of the network to do all the targeting, that the ad is hopefully relevant to the audience and all that.
Well, there's like just different ads from different games, mobile games. You know, I think there's like 5 or somewhere between 5 or 30-second gameplay videos, or some trailers from other mobile games.
Once you've seen the ad, regardless of if you click on it or not, you actually get something in the game, something that's kind of hopefully unique and valuable to you. So then basically we put it as a piece of content, but we like video the most. It's most relevant to players, and we've done some tests on interstitials and all that, but I think video is where it's at the moment. And what I find really interesting with that is that it actually increases retention, meaning a game with ads has people like it more, come back to it more than a game without ads, and that's because they fundamentally serve to a different audience. You have people who don't want to spend real world money on games for whatever reason, but they don't mind looking at a few ads and kind of getting a part of the benefit that way. It feels like they have a way to kind of pay for the game without actually spending money, to invest into the game. And this is kind of anecdotal, but what we get from feedback is that they feel like they're able to participate with the paid players on some level.
In premium games, game design's function is altogether simpler. Premium games are designed to be sold as units, which then relates to promoting the games before purchase. This is discussed in detail in parts 2 and 3 of this videography. On the other hand, the challenge with free-to-play games is creating experiences which would entertain the player for a longer period.
So all of our games are free to play, we focus on free to play, and that bridges over to why we started off the company. So free to play means games as a service from a creative point of view. Instead of making this cool thing that you play for a bit and enjoy like a one-trick pony, which I love, you end up doing rather the hobby. So instead of making tennis and inventing the rules of the rackets and the ball and all that, we look at tennis as a hobby that spans 2 years, and what are all those different structures and systems, and why that particularly makes, for example, tennis interesting instead of just kind of whipping the ball around. So when you make a free-to-play game, you make all of that, and we think there's a huge amount of stuff that just hasn't been invented, because when you put that together with mobile phones, you get these interesting points of, right, so what do people use their phones on? Well, they communicate. Cool, so what can we do? Can we do games that are long-term, that are about communicating, that are about meeting people and doing fun things together and having like authentic experiences? Incidentally, it also happens to support sane business models. So games are very, very, very hit-driven, as always, but when you do premium games, the opposite of free-to-play in this context, basically it's very difficult to maintain that quality of life, because that working model drives you toward, for example, crunch, and drives you towards kind of low-ish salary with insane bonuses when the projects end, if it's a hit. If it's not, you can't really guarantee an income over time. You can't guarantee business sustainability over multiple games in time, or it's just very difficult. So with free-to-play games, you end up with a more stable company from a business point of view, and it scales incredibly well, as we've seen from Supercell and Rovio and all that.
It's not as easy as it seems, because you need to be everywhere in all the channels. You need to communicate with them as much as you can, and you need to listen to them a lot.
Community management, including customer support, social media presence, and strong relationships between players themselves and the game developers, is vital for acquiring new players and retaining existing ones. Game developers must put effort in, firstly, creating great expectations about the game at rating and review sites and systems, ensuring that the game is credible and intriguing enough to become purchased or downloaded. Secondly, using social media and other communication channels for discussions, players sharing their game progress and thus promoting the game, and co-creating the game community with the players. And lastly, in multiplayer games, supporting players playing together through various social game mechanics, including in-game communities such as guilds and clans, and ways of self-expression through gameplay and virtual goods.
The community size or the community involvement, it's very much dictated by the success of the game. But so what we do, as I was mentioning before, it's a living thing. So we react. We try to be proactive when we can, but it's a bit of both. You need to be proactive but also reactive. So for example, when we launch a game, we already give them tools to communicate, so forum or in-game chats or tools where they can talk directly to me or like the support team. But as the community evolves, we need to be ready to give them more tools, which could be even, I don't know, for example, on the website you can have a swag pack that you can give to users that want to organize, for example, a meeting, you know, with other players. So, or you can give them like stickers or things that you know they can use to enhance the community. It's basically they make the community for you if you understand the community needs fast enough.
Game developers have a vast set of communication channels at their disposal. However, in-game communication might be preferable.
We try not to we reply to every customers because for us it's really important, but if you want to have a long discussion, then it's not the best tool, either Facebook. We always try to channel them in one platform so that we have everything recorded, everything is tagged, the data is there. Years ago you had to leave the game and join forums, and so it was always a kind of a broken experience. You would spend some time in the game and then, oh wait, I need 10 minutes to go to the forum and talk to my guild members. Nowadays everything happens in the palm of your hand, so we provide them with global chat, clan or guild chat, so everything happens there. So the less time they spend away from the game, the better.
Chats and other in-game communication methods are essential for the game experience, and sometimes a core part of the gameplay.
Usually there is a guild chat if you are in a guild. When you join a guild, you have usually leaders and co-leaders within a guild, different roles. So you communicate there. You can talk about strategy, talk about needs. For example, we need this type of players to make our guild better. We need to attack this other guild at this specific day. Or there are global chats where are mostly used for recruiting other players.
When crafting game mechanics, social aspects should be taken into account. For example, gifting virtual goods and helping others bring additional enjoyment.
When we allowed you in Roboside to buy something and others would actually benefit from your purchase, like I buy this thing for myself, I get 5, but you also get 1, and so does everyone else. You suddenly get them to tell you thanks in the chat. So instead of from just a normal transaction of I do this thing and I get my benefit and that's all good, you also get like just people being grateful to you. That as a feeling is something that I think everyone could have more in their day. And it funnily enough does motivate you to try and just do that again every now and then. Like, I'm gonna be the cool guy, spend a $5 in the game, get some kudos.
Players might want to express themselves through gameplay or virtual goods. However,
to be honest with you, in mobile games, I haven't seen a very successful mobile game that where you need to spend a lot of time fixing the appearance of your character. It's more about the overall experience. It's like, for example, in Clash, you're not gonna address your barbarian in a different way. It's more about, this is my village. SimCity, this is my town. Roboside, this is my robots. These are my robots. So it's not a lot about the avatar. You know, you are actually the avatar.
We're going from a time when there was practically zero expression in the games into having some, where I mean, maybe there's a friend list, maybe you can kind of visit someone else's village in Farmville and they can kind of see what you did, but that was still very, very shallow. So on Playroom we talk a lot about like raising kids. There's a moment when it goes from parallel play into shared play, where it's not just 2 kids playing on the in the sandbox in their own little worlds, but suddenly they share a single world. So what we're talking about a lot with some of our upcoming titles is how can I open the game and witness, of course, my state in the game, like this is how much I've produced lately, these are my agents, for example, but in addition also see what you've been doing, and just that knowledge affects what I'm going to do next. A very concrete example is that we have this cool prototype of a game where you essentially see a map, and you are in the map, in a location, you've got things going on in the map, but so is everyone else. So if I'm going to do something, it actually relates to what are the other guys doing. Like if we share a single mine where we mine resources from, maybe the mine is full, maybe I need to go to the other mine. So you immediately already share a play instead of being parallel in that same game. And through that, we're looking into how much can you express yourself. Not easy at all. But for example, today we were talking about, can we have different voting systems in the game to rank each other's plays? So could we conceivably make a game that's about players making something that actually has artistic value, and then having other players rank that for you? For example, Grand Crew from Finland has made a game that had those elements, and it definitely had something successful going on, or specifically around those areas. But can we package that into what's essentially what looks like us? I think so. Ask me again in like 2 years. Maybe we've made it.
In competitive and challenge-based games, leaderboards and high scores are used to accommodate players who would like to compete against others and themselves. Players are also encouraged to share their progress and scores through their social media accounts.
The games we build is the leaderboards, and the competitive aspect of it is the driver usually for people to get more involved and spend more hours in the game, and it's a human thing. Just be better than someone else, it's rewarding. It could be your friend. That's why every mobile game has Facebook, Twitter, Instagram integration, so that you can see your friends where they stand. So you have national, global leaderboard, friends leaderboard. So you kind of try to incentivize this competitive aspect.
Sherpa game has the mobile versions have like a in-game sharing button, so that people actually can share the in-game content and their score from the game to Twitter.
The mobile platform might demand a closer relationship between players and customer support.
The experience, it's so fast. You enter the game, you want to have a great experience, something goes wrong, you're reachable within one click. So you need to be there. One tap. You need to be there for them. Not saying immediately, but in a very short period of time. And this is because it's not like a console game or a PC game where you have maybe one session that lasts 2 hours in one day, but you can have 10 sessions that last 5 minutes in one day. So every time you need to make sure that the end user have the best possible experience. They know who they are going to talk to, and they know how long you're going to take to reply. So it's very, there is this bond with players that it doesn't exist in other platforms.
Social media channels such as YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter are used to communicate outside the game. In addition, players discuss and review games in social media. For example, influential YouTubers might bring attention to games by showing their own gameplay to their followers, thus promoting the game.
You have YouTubers actually proactively reaching out to you, like, hey, I see this game has potential, I want to be the first. Again, it depends on the type of game. If it's a very competitive game, it's very good to have YouTubers and influencers.
I think it's quite important nowadays also, like especially when you don't really have so much money for marketing or anything, just trying to find or try to be in contact with YouTubers or influencers, they are called, I suppose, nowadays, like people who play games and so one of our silly game, Profit Simulator, was actually played by PewDiePie, and that got quite a bit of like a spike of traffic on our website of the game. Yeah, and it's just trying to get as much people on YouTube to play the game, or Twitch. It's another like a game streaming channel.
Facebook is more of a communication tool. A new update is out, new troops are out. If you have this request, contact support. It's again, it evolved, so it's not anymore like before. But it's still very, very powerful. Of course, you have a billion or more people in there, so it's really good.
Before the publishing and during the release, and after release, yeah, we made a lot of like content on Twitter and Facebook, Instagram, this kind of GIF or looping animations of the game or whatever, with different kind of hashtags that seems to connect with the target audience. We just search for the different hashtags or groups or in Twitter and Facebook, just see which one works and so on. Just push stuff there as often as possible, with new content, of course. If it's the same all the time, then it's not so interesting. But
To conclude, a strong relationship between the players and the company co-creates a community in which important and memorable moments might happen. For example,
This is another nice story, and it involves when I was at Supercell. One day I received a message from a customer from a player saying, "Hey, I need a favor from you." And by case I got the message. And he said, "I'm gonna marry my fiancée, and I would like to ask her to marry me through the game. Can you guys help me?" So I was like, "Oh my God, this is the greatest thing." And we agreed on a Sunday afternoon at 6 o'clock. I would actually ban her girlfriend game. And when you get banned, you receive a message when you open the game. So, of course, he gave me the message, and they were on the couch together. So when she opened the game, there was like, "Would you marry me?" Or now I don't remember the exact sentence, but it was funny because then, of course, he told me like she said yes, and we shared this through the company, and it was a great celebration. So it was great.
promotion strategies are used to ensure that gamers find a game, be it through the App Store, through recommendations from friends, or other channels. Pricing strategies are then used to entice gamers to make a purchase. In free-to-play games, these promotion and pricing strategies are used to ensure that some of the players end up as paying users. In this part, we discuss the importance of the App Store and game media, and some specific promotion and pricing strategies. Firstly, one of the most important ways to promote an iOS game is to ensure that it gets featured on the App Store, linking back to creating a polished and well-designed game. Featured applications are shown on the App Store's front page.
So even today, if you go to the App Store, it's really difficult to find games that are not being featured on the front page. It's very difficult to explore all the cool different things that are in the App Store.
Getting featured is also a measure for the initial success of a mobile game. Two of the interviewees mentioned getting featured as memorable moments.
So all of the games that we've done, they've had massive Apple featuring, and it is honestly really cool to open up the App Store and go, yep, that's the game. I actually had this cool bit where I was visiting Zynga, and Zynga being one of the major game development powerhouses of the whole world. I was in their headquarters in San Francisco during GDC, which is a big games conference. And we were just small talking and saying like, yeah, we play Raven, cool. And then he was kind of out of politeness like, hey, what have you done recently? Like, are you developing any games? And I was like, yeah, sure. Open your phone, open up App Store. We're on the first banner on the Game of the Week, Apple, download this in the US.
Well, yeah, we had launch party, and when we were making that up, we didn't know yet if the game is gonna get the featuring or not. So it was like, it was weird. We had like the bar, you know, reserved for us for the evening and all that kind of stuff, and just thinking, is this gonna be like a funeral or a happy party? It was glad it was then on the actual when the day happened that it was the release and the release party happened. So we were lucky enough that the game got featured, and it was actually more like a happy occasion than, you know, more like a not so happy. But yeah, that was maybe a bit more interesting story to hear. But yeah, that kind of like, that was maybe like the climax feeling of the whole development of 1.5 years, and then see how it goes.
Secondly, game media is a way to promote and bring credibility to a game and the developers. Though critical acclaim and the success of a game do not always correlate in mobile games.
Game media, it's very important because there are many companies. For example, just here in Helsinki. So, like having the press release a nice article talking about the company in a nice way, or you know, trying your game and have something to say about it. It's always really good. It helps to create momentum for when you have to release. So you have to choose very carefully when you talk to the press or the media, and you have to do it in a way that it's a bit unique or different from other companies. So I think there is a lot of strategy in there as well, but it's powerful. It's a good tool.
When Pellit magazine did the first interview and published us in the magazine, that's cool. When the first time we had full pages of articles in Edge, the magazine, the biggest games magazine globally, those are cool moments, which is basically feeling like, oh man, we're a real company now. That's cool.
Thirdly, in addition to promoting games through players in social media, as discussed in part 2, game companies use special offers and discounts to promote their game or in-game content. These promotion strategies might include offers with time and placement limitations and bundling sellable items together.
What's way more effective nowadays and more interesting as well is bundles and time-limited deals. So, for example, a story from the field from another game, Star Wars, these character collecting Star Wars games. They run these amazingly good events where you get one of the Star Wars special characters that's only available if you complete the event in time. Darth Vader, Yoda. You can only get Yoda during this week if you do all of these tasks. And if you do them, it's going to take a long time. You'll get the basic version. Or in some cases, it just allows you to buy it in the first place. So you have to do all this work to even be eligible to purchase the guy. And to be able to complete all of those tasks, you need a very specific squad of, let's say, Jedis. But you don't necessarily have Jedis. Maybe you have droids and you have other kind of characters from the franchise. So today only, you happen to have a Jedi pack on sale. So basically we give you an event, we give you a time limit, we give you something highly desirable, and then we give you a way to spend money to give you access only during this event. And then we author these events on a cadence. A very complicated answer on saying, if we're in control of both where you are in the game, what you want in the game, and what sort of a barrier you have between all these things, we can come up with way more interesting things than just saying, buy more resources. And I think people like that more as well. It's more fun.
However, in premium games, there are less situations in which special offers or discounts are suitable.
We had it once on minus 50% sale, but yeah, we haven't really got so much into different kind of sales featuring Viable. I think it was our first update for Shadowbuck, the premium version, and we were just figuring out how to get, you know, a bit bigger spike in the amount of players you would have, because it got featured, the new update, but also we were trying out if it makes a better or bigger amount of new players if it's also on sale at the same time.
The game itself might be a suitable place for promoting the company's other games.
You have the cross promotion, which means inside the game, I think it's also in the score screen when you die or pass the level, or in the in-game menu, or the main menu of the game. I think there's a button for. But I think it was also more like on your face when you first time actually open the game. There comes like a banner saying, "Okay, we actually have another title as well. You should try it out."
Lastly, psychological pricing strategies are used to improve purchase intention, especially with virtual goods. These strategies include odd pricing and price anchoring and framing. However, deciding the price levels for games and virtual goods might involve intuition and referring to other games.
Well, we were just figuring out, games with similar scale or same type of games to have they are around $2.99 or $3.99. Some are even lower, some are actually even a bit bigger price point. So it was, let's try this, let's go with it. But what we have heard, it actually, if it's somewhere between 1 or 4 euros, if it's a premium game, it somehow correlates the amount of you kind of get the same amount of money in sales anyways.
Pricing and pricing tiers and bundles and pricing structures, I really want to say it's science, but I think it's mostly gut feeling of fairy dust because as much as we want to take existing best practices from the field, you just gotta start from somewhere that makes sense for your game, so then you end up having just a lot of opinions in a room and then someone makes a decision. But there's some just average merchandising psychology in place. We want to have a couple of price points. We want to make sure that there's price anchoring in there, so we have something really expensive to kind of uplift your expectations. We want to take care of the price floor under which nothing makes sense anymore. So for example, the $1 price point is dead. We probably want to use the $3 or $5 as the minimum purchase, because anything below it, meh. And so basically we then end up with a range, and then we really ask, well, how many options do we want to expose to the player before it gets super confusing? So in my mind, it's even more relevant to design the shop well, rather than kind of argue over, is this going to be 15 or 14, or do we have 25 and 50, or what's going on?
In free-to-play games, the games are designed to allow players to spend as much as they want, regardless of specific pricing structures.
But then on the actual pricing structures and everything, I don't think that's honestly changed a lot in the past few years. So we basically say, as long as there's no ceiling in spending, if you want to spend $1,000 in the game right now, it should be fun, you should be able to do it. If you only want to spend $2, that should be okay as well. So let's just try to reflect those things and give you various amounts of value for your money.